One of the hardest lessons in my life has been learning to let go of my plans and find happiness where I am. I don't like describing myself as a perfectionist, but if I'm being honest, it's not too far off base. I've always believed that I could make life happen according to a plan. I was raised on bootstrap mentality. You could always pull yourself up to meet a challenge. Anything I wanted or dreamed for my life, I could rise up and seize. I was given the example of my great-ancestors' pioneer dreams. Entire families trekking across thousands of miles of deserts and plains, pulling wagons and handcarts around away from a place that rejected them and towards their promised land. With faith, hope, and hard work, anything was not only possible, but success was all but assured. And failure wasn't an option. No one wants to fail, but it's part of life. The number one fear amongst students is the fear of failure, explains inspirational speaker Daryl Bellamy Jr. He studies fear and helps leaders, particularly students, cultivate an attitude of fearlessness to help them reach greater levels of success. And Bellamy explains that this fear of failure can prevent us from even trying. And there's something worse than failing. Regret is worse than failure. It is so much better to try and fail than to be too afraid to try and regret the opportunity that's missed. Actor, rapper, and comedian Will Smith uses the mantra, fail early, fail often, fail forward. Every stumbling block has the opportunity to teach us something and bring us closer to success. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's merely feedback. And it's how it's possible to build up the strength and endurance to succeed. I have many stories of failure myself, as I'm sure everyone does. Dreams that didn't go my way and small failures from basketball games lost to denting the first car that I ever drove. The experience I want to share is one that fundamentally changed me as a person and helped me learn to let go. It happened at a particular time in my life when I very much wanted to hold on and to feel like I was in control. The hardest year of my life came in the wake of shining success, and it was plans so far derailed that the rest of my life could never be and can never be the same. In March of 2011, I spearheaded a student leadership conference. With 4 months of planning, we had nearly 60 attendees from across 5 states, including a group that drove to Muncie, Indiana, all the way from southern Texas. Known leaders from the national community donated their time to present at the event, and we received letters of congratulations from an influential author cheering on our fledgling event. The same day as the conference marked the 1-year anniversary of my relationship with my boyfriend. To celebrate our success in the conference and in our relationship, we took a spring break trip to Chicago. We toured the city with friends who'd helped us put together the conference and tried all the local food we could manage. And I got sick. As spring break ended and I returned to campus, I convinced myself that I was too sick to just get over it, and I visited the campus health center to get something for what was obviously food poisoning. The nurse listened dutifully and nodded about the likelihood of food poisoning, and then told me I needed to take a pregnancy test. I rolled my eyes at her. I'm not pregnant. She insisted, and I capitulated provided she would give me the medication for the food poisoning as soon as the test results proved that she was wrong, and then I could feel better for my biochemistry exam. I tried to study while I waited for the promised medication, unconcerned about the unnecessary test. I stood outside the health center, prescriptions in hand, and I called my boyfriend. He was in class, and he didn't answer. I only had 15 minutes to get to my exam, so I walked numbly across campus, head full of a word that was upending my life. Pregnant. I sat down in the classroom, trying to block out the news, and prepare for the test when my boyfriend called me back to ask if I was feeling better. Not exactly. I'm pregnant. No, I don't have time to talk. My exam's about to start. I'll call you when I'm done, and we'll talk. I hung up. No I love yous, no goodbyes, because this could change everything. I sat back down in the classroom and wrote down page after page of answers to questions I'd barely read, and just tried to keep breathing as the reality of my crumbling future played around in my head. There's no undo button, no rewind. I had no option to go back to the future I'd held planned in my mind only hours before. Suddenly, I didn't know if I was going to finish college. I was 14 months away from being the first woman in my family to earn a degree. But could I still do it? I worked 2 jobs, including overnights, just to make it through school. Would I become a parent and most likely a single mom at 22? Would my boyfriend turn out to be the kind of man who's going to stick around with an unplanned baby on the way? Or was he going to realize that this wasn't for him and leave? We'd talked about kids and marriage, but years in the future. And this wasn't those dreams. There are moments where life takes an unexpected turn and all you can do is try and hold on. Where plans that were set in stone come crashing down, leaving you with no option but to make new plans and allow life to happen. Bootstraps aren't actually good for pulling yourself up, and sometimes you don't even have those going for you. There are plans that get too far derailed to ever make it back on track. I just had to let go of all those carefully laid plans so that I could realize all the new options I had that could be available. It's terrifying to let go of the visions you hold for yourself. But there's a freedom to be found in taking those changes as they come and adapting for the future that wasn't anticipated, but maybe hold something better than those best laid plans. On a sunny Monday afternoon, my baby was born. It was 12/13 on Halloween. She was 7 pounds, 9 ounces, and blue. The respiratory specialist that had been standing by took her before I'd gotten more than a glimpse. And I asked if my silent blue baby was breathing, and no one answered. I was nearly too exhausted to do more than breathe as I raised my face to look around the room. If you'd told me 2 weeks before that there would be more than a dozen people standing in my hospital room, I would have told you that that was not the plan. But I was working on letting those go. Tears were streaming down the faces of the people who'd helped me through 25 hours of labor. My boyfriend was weeping on my right, and the 2 men who were here to adopt our baby had their arms around one another, their faces shining with tears. My mother's eyes glistened, and my best friend had her arms around her wife, smiling as tears trickled down their faces. I was so very confused, and I was afraid that something had gone terribly wrong, and no one was telling me. My friend had to assure me that everything was all right, and that everyone was just emotional. So I watched the swarm of nurses huddled around my silent baby until I heard her first tiny cries. My mother brought her to me, and I held my daughter for the first time, and I blinked. It was 2 days later, and I sat awkwardly on the edge of a hospital bed, tiny swaddled baby in one arm, papers in my lap, and a pen in my hand to sign her away. The people who'd filled the room The days before were all gone, leaving only me, the baby, and the adoption specialist. I stared down at the child I had dreamed of, but who had come years too early to allow me to realize my dreams. A degree, a career, a marriage, and a family, preferably in that order. I stared at her tiny sleeping form and thought of all the reasons I was holding that pen. It was not a single instance, but a mountain of moments over the past 8 months that had weighed my decision. I knew signing my name on that paper meant giving away my dream, but also giving a dream and a gift to someone else. So I signed my name on line after line and whispered words of love and hope and plans for the future to someone else's child. The musical Hamilton by Lin-Manuel Miranda has a song in it called Quiet Uptown. And it begins with the lines, "There are moments that the words don't reach. There is suffering too terrible to name. You hold your child as tight as you can and push away the unimaginable." The decision and the process of placing my daughter for adoption was unimaginably difficult. And when I tell people about my experience, the response is almost always, "I can't imagine how that felt. I can't imagine going through that or letting go." What started out as a failure has grown into the inspiration for the successes I'm most proud of. I am the first woman in my family to earn a degree, and in the fall of 2019, I will earn my master's degree. My daughter and her amazing adoptive dads will be there to watch me graduate, and her father, my husband, will be sitting with them. My choice for adoption has changed who I am as a person. I learned to let go and find peace in letting what I can't control happen without fighting the inevitable. And I realized how very strong I am. If I was strong enough to let her go, then there's nothing I can't do. What I once viewed as a failure has built me up towards success. And letting go of where I thought I would be has let me experience the dreams that I'm now achieving. I can fail forward and learn from my experiences. I can let go of dreams that aren't fitting my life anymore. And I can love where I am now. Thank you for listening.